Chapter 1, A Gun and a Lost Little Girl. A gun in his hand, the simple remedy for his problems, the ultimate solution to his pain. A pistol in his hand, a Beretta/Wilson Combat 92G, with the ammunition magazine full. On the table, a bottle of whiskey almost empty, and a glass at his side. At another point on the table, an open computer and on his screen images of a child, several photographs of a child on the beach, in the park, at home, sharing family moments with his father. Tears running down the man's cheeks, a reflection of deep pain, which whiskey cannot numb. His reddened eyes rested on his son's images, and a new fit of pain hurt him like a stab in the chest. He cannot contain the pain, he is exhausted from being strong, tired of appearing serenity and courage. It's been a couple of years, but it seems it was a few hours ago that his boy left, that they snatched him. He raises the gun again, as he has done so many times before. He always says to himself that this time is the definitive one, that he would take the cannon to his temple and pull the trigger, but never is the moment. A force greater than his pain keeps him tied to the world, but what force? Fear? Duty? Masochism? Self-punishment? Because he was sure that hope was not. Hope had died in his life, and love, tenderness, joy, even pleasure. There remained only hate, resentment, bitterness, disappointment, and above all pain, a deep sorrow. Because when his boy descended to the grave, he had descended into hell, and since then he lived there. Just a little will, just an effort, the metallic cannon in his temple, a simple movement of his finger, and a bullet would end the pain, would cast the curtain on that dark and sad play in which his life had become. Come on, Jin-Kyu, just an effort. His hand raises the weapon, the cannon rubs his temple, but his hand shakes, and then he sees the face of his son, in one of the few images where he seems to sketch a smile, and knows that once again he will not be able to do it. He puts the gun on the table and starts crying desperately, almost hysterically. He picks up the bottle and throws it to the floor, breaking it to pieces, and then covers his face with his hands, while his mourning crying is heard in the living room. After a few moments, the face is discovered, and in a corner, he believes he sees his son standing, but he knows that it is a hallucination, an image projected by his mind, blunt by liquor and pain. In any case, he extends his arm, as if he wanted to reach with his hand that mirage of his mind. And in tears, he speaks to the image that nests in his mind. Son, what do you want from me? Why cannot I go to you? I do not know what to do with my life. I do not know how to live, but I cannot find the courage to die. Son, give me a sign to know what to do. Han Jin-Kyu said, realizing that he was alone with his pain, as always, and again covered his face with his hands, crying non-stop. The next day, a girl was walking through a park in Seoul, holding a little girl by the hand. The girl was very young, fresh out of adolescence. She was short, just 5'3" feet, 1,61 m, tall, and rather thin, but with a beautiful body, a nice silhouette. The girl had glowing skin, straight hair, and more or less long, brown, a sweet little girl's face and beautiful brown eyes. The girl wore a flannel, a floaty 3/4 length skirt, and wore flip-flops sandals. It was clearly a summery, very informal appearance. The little girl was very much like the girl, and it was obvious that they were sisters. The younger sister was 7 years old, and she was very thin, and she wore a short flowery dress, and she wore flat sandals. The little girl seemed cheerful with her gestures and her laughter. But the older sister looked sad. When they reached a park bench, the girls sat down. "In-hi, we need to talk," said the older sister, who by the look on her face seemed to be suffering. "Did I do something wrong, I?" asked the little girl. "No, sweetheart, of course not," Lee In-suk said, stroking the little girl's hair. "It's just, you know that Emma is still very ill." "Emma's going to die," cried Lee In-hi, and she was about to start crying. "No, is not that. Emma is still very sick," but she has not gotten worse, she stays the same. But precisely because of that, she cannot leave the hospital yet, and we do not know how much longer she will be there. And that's the problem, In-hai, it's been months that she was admitted to the hospital, and so far we have done well alone. But the authorities think that I cannot be responsible for you alone. Do you remember the Child Rights Division's social worker who visited us the other day? Well, her report was not entirely favorable. They think that I am too young to take care of you myself, said Lee In-suk, sad and somewhat distressed. But that is ridiculous. You are my sister and you take good care of me, cried Lee In-hai angrily. I know, sweetheart, Lee In-suk replied, feeling the emotion begin to emerge in her. But they do not think alike. They think your well-being is in danger. They also know that our economic situation is very bad. My salary as a waitress is not enough for our needs, and EMA's savings are already exhausted. They know that I owe money from the rent and that they can throw us into the street, and that for working so many hours I cannot take good care of you. They say that your school performance has decreased, and they do not care what it is for all we have had to suffer us. The point is that they want to take away me your custody. They consider that I am not an appropriate guardian, added in the voice broken by the emotion and doing an effort not to cry. But it's only until Ema comes back, In-hai said, wanting to cry. They do not see it like that, In-suk replied. They're taking me to an orphanage, cried In-hai, startled to tears. No. But they want someone else in the family to take care of you. They want you to go and live with Aunt Sang-mi, In-suk said with tears in her eyes. No. With Aunt Sang-mi, no. She is very bad and does not love us, cried the little girl, crying bitterly. No, sweetie. She is not bad, she is just very strict and a bit embittered. And she does not hate you, it's for me who does not have affection or patience, In-suk replied, trying to calm her, but without much conviction. You lie. You and Ema hate her because she's always been very mean to us. And Uncle Kyung-gu is very cruel. I do not want to live with them, In-hai cried, almost hysterical. Honey, I do not want you to live with them either. But I cannot help it, said In-suk, crying and pouting, as if she were a child. You cannot let them take me. Please, In-hai. In-hai screamed in despair. I cannot do anything, In-hai. I cannot, cried In-suk, too, desperate. Liar. You do not love me. You want to stay alone to have fun with your friends. In-hai protested, full of pain and rage, still crying. That's not fair, In-hai. You know that I love you and that I have tried to be like Ema to you. In-suk cried in pain. Liar, I do not love you, cried In-hai, and suddenly she stood up and ran across the lawn field behind the bench. In-hai, where are you going? Came back. In-suk shouted and tried to get up to run after her, but she slipped with her flip-flops and fell to her knees, getting a little hurt, but she stood up and tried to run after her. But the little girl ran very fast, not knowing very well where she was going, with her eyes full of tears and very upset, and in a short time, she realized that she was lost. While her sister was desperately looking for her in the park, increasingly distressed. Nearby, Han Jin-kyu walked through the park distracted and sad, his mind engulfed in the dark thoughts of the night before. The place only increased his pain because there he carried his son sometimes, and it was from this desire to invoke his presence that he was walking there. He thought he was seeing the image of his son again when a young lady running with difficulty came up screaming. In-hai! In-hai! In-suk screamed in panic, crying hysterically, almost in shock. Jin-kyu saw her and had a strange feeling, a feeling he had not felt since his son's death, the desire to protect someone. After a moment of hesitation and reticence, he approached her. Maisu, are you all right? Looking for someone? Han Jin-kyu asked with concern in a tone of voice that tried to be reassuring. With her eyes filled with tears, Lee In-suk turned to see the unknown man, and when their eyes met, they both felt a sudden emotion. Both felt a little disturbed, as if an electric current had affected them both for a few seconds. But then the pain and worry returned Lee In-suk to reality. Jae-young, she's my little sister. I've lost my little sister. In-suk answered very anguishedly, without ceasing to mourn. The rest of the chapter can be read in the link that appears in the description of this video, and that is this.